I'm Christina with The Turned Leg. I love to salvage, repurpose, and create and help others to do the same. I've also had a booth at an antique mall since 2015. And I've learned a lot over the years, and I'm always making changes. In fact, I started out with an 8 by 10 size booth, and I now have over 1,300 square feet. And there's always so much to constantly be working on in your booth. It's one of those jobs that never ends. Recently, I was in my booth owner's business group. By the way, if you want more information on that, check the description box below. It is currently open for new members. And we were talking about display. One of the things we were talking about is something you're probably familiar with, which is eye level. That's like the prime real estate in your booth. Items at eye level. And a lot of people are aware of this, but they forget that you can also put items in other spaces, like slightly above or slightly below. As I was showing my booth members my space, I noticed there were gaps. There were places where I could be putting inventory that was just completely wasted space. It is amazing by just adding more wall space how many more items you can get in your booth. And remember, the small items are really what help you pay the rent in your booth and make the money. Recently, I mentioned how I've never actually built a wall using regular wood boards in my booth. You see, I salvage, I repurpose, I save old stuff, and so I never really see the point in spending a ton of money on new wood if I have items that I can use. Here are just a few of my displays that I have built in my booth using salvage materials. One of my favorite displays is this door display, and you can click on the link above to watch a whole video on how I built it. I've also built and improved upon my entrance display to my booth. I really feel the entrance sets the tone. So if I'm big on salvage and repurposing and vintage items, then that's what the entrance should have. If you want to see how I built the entrance, you can click on the link to this video. The first thing I decided to do was to take a look at existing walls all around Plaza Antiques and Collectibles Mall to get some good ideas on what I wanted for my booth space. I really liked how this one was set up and the boards that were support were on their sides, so it could also be used as a shelf, but perhaps a little too advanced for my very first wall. The next step was to sketch out what I thought I would need for my wall and go to the hardware and buy the boards that I needed. I loaded up my car and I took everything to my booth at Plaza Antiques. This is the area of my booth where I'm planning on building a wall, right in between my milk paint display and that black china cabinet to divide the space into two different sections. Now, obviously, I'm gonna need to pull everything out of the china cabinet, get it out of the way so that I can start building. Maybe in the last clip you noticed the pegboard was to the right of the china cabinet. I just slid it in there to see if I really liked how it was gonna look, and I loved it. Now, I also have to tell you one more thing. This video, I am not gonna give you step-by-step instructions on how to build a wall, because this was my first wall, and I'm sure there are many much better videos out there. But I want to show you what a wall can do for your space. When you're building walls, you might think about the obvious walls around the perimeter space of your booth, but maybe you don't think about putting walls or even using salvage as walls in other places. Because a lot of times people think, oh, it's going to junk it up and I don't really have room and things aren't really going to fit. Well, in my space, if you look at the before, and then you look at the after, one side of the wall is going to be used for my mom's display. And please keep in mind, this is not completed. It's still a work in progress. We just finished it. There's lots of possibilities. But she now has a whole 8-foot wall by 4 that she can put all of her paint and porcelain items. One of the things she discovered is originally her ornaments that were hand painted were on a Christmas tree. The Christmas tree was like 3.5, maybe 4 feet tall. And it was low. It was below eye level. Also, she had tied the ornaments on and they were a little tricky to see. So customers really couldn't shop the tree very easily. They'd have to bend over, they'd have to hunt through the tree. Because of its location, the tree could not be plugged in, so there was no additional light on the Christmas tree, making things even more difficult. Now my mom has moved the ornaments onto the wall. And if you notice, the dark color of the wall is going to also offset and I think bring more attention to the ornaments. Now the ornaments can all be easily viewed and I hope it'll increase her sales. On the other side, I have my Sweet Pickings milk paint display. And I have been struggling with how to display the sample packets of paint. They're 2 ounces, they're in like Ziploc bags, and I have put them in little baskets by the original colors in my display, but that really wasn't that great to look at. I've also tried to build a display from some salvage items. It really wasn't the best, and it was very difficult for my customers to find what they were looking for and for me to see what items I needed more of and I was out of. So now I can use the pegboard on the back and set up all of the paint samples, alphabetical, on hooks. I can easily see what is there, what I need to order more, and my customers can find what they're looking for. Keep in mind, in your booth space, you need to make it easy for your customers to shop, or they won't. I am really excited about continuing to work on this display. I think I want to also get pegboard hooks all of the same size. Right now I'm just using what I had. I have others on order, but I think it's really going to level up my display, get customers shopping, and I bet those samples of milk paint are even going to sell better. So you really need to take some inventory of your space. You need to look around. Are you using your space effectively? Where can you add more? Where can you bring things up to eye level? I want to show you another problem area in my booth. In my booth, I sold where all of my cookbooks were located. Gone. So I have tons of cookbooks that I have for sale in my booth and they needed a home. So I had some crates. I use crates a lot when I'm in a pinch and I built a quick crate display. Do you see the problem with this crate display? Yeah, it's below eye level. That's a huge problem. And really, I was just kind of like getting them in a spot and moving on because I was busy. So I really didn't realize it until I was walking around looking at my space and taking pictures. Those are too low. Customers aren't going to easily be able to shop the vintage cookbooks if they got to like squat down and look. At least most customers won't. So my next plan for my space is I have a table in another area that I'm going to slide over there. We're going to put the crate display on it, and I'm going to do a better organization of that. I just want to pop in and say that this video was almost completed, and then things happened. And I think being a small business owner, you just have to be flexible. So I was so lucky to find 3 bookcases curbside. And remember, we've been talking about vertical space, making sure that you're using your space in your booth correctly. And 3 bookcases curbside in excellent condition. So I decided, instead of just bringing in a piece of furniture and raising up the cookbook area that was a problem in my booth, I would use the bookcases. I attached them to the wall. I removed the backing so I could still get light in from the windows behind. And oh my goodness, I think it looks great. Now I do want to tell you, the pictures you're going to see, I was doing things very spur of the moment. I also got a call from my daughter and had to pick her up early that day. So I just had to like get it done. But I promise I'm going to go back through those shelves, make them mini vignettes, really make some of the items pop. Not only is it going to make great use of the vertical space, but I'm going to be able to fit so many more items in this area. My advice to you, if you're a booth owner, is be flexible, think outside of the box, and of course, keep your eye open for cool curbside treasures. When you're a booth owner, sometimes you really don't even see your space. I mean, you're in there all the time. And so things that are obvious sometimes just kind of blend in. One piece of advice that I can recommend is that you go in with your phone and you take video or you take pictures. You might want to keep your camera right at eye level, all the way around your booth while you're doing this. And then go through and do it slightly above and slightly below, filling in those spaces, especially before the holidays. I mean, we're ramping up for the busy time. You want to get as many items as you can into your space so that you can make a good profit. For more information on booth owners, tips and tricks, I do have a whole playlist here on YouTube if you want to check it out. I do have to say that I am very relieved that I have built a real wall in my booth space. It perhaps is a little bit more secure than it needs to be because it's my first one, but I think it's really important as a booth owner to challenge yourself, to try new things, and also solve problems in your space. It's really amazing what you can do if you do your research, if you talk to people, and it can elevate your space so much. Let me know what you think of my wall. Let me know what you have done to make sure that you have things not only at eye level, but above and below in your display. And if you guys have tips or tricks for other booth owners, pop them down below so we can all learn from one another. I really appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much for watching. Now get out there to salvage, repurpose, and create.